Welcome to the Atomic Mommy Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Pingaro, and every week I talk to special guests about everything parenting to help you on your parenting journey. Be sure to like and subscribe this podcast so you can get notified whenever I publish a new episode. Now let's get to it. Today's special guest is Kit Wong, owner of Math Accelerator. She's a technical engineering project manager with 20 years experience, a mother of 2 daughters, and the founder of the popular Math Accelerator program, which she started in 2013 to make math fun and unlock children's learning potential. To learn more, be sure to follow Kit Wong and the Math Accelerator program on LinkedIn. Hi, Kit. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. I really appreciate you taking the time. So let's talk about math. I know it's something that is very true to your heart. You're very passionate about. I know it has to do with your daughter. You know, children are always motivating us to do new things, step in new directions. So I love that story about you and your daughter. Tell me about Math Accelerator. That's your company. I know you founded that. I believe it was 2013. Tell me all
Yes.
about that and why you chose to do that. Tell me the story.
Well, thank you, Kim, inviting me to your podcast. I would love to share my story. So the whole story started because when my daughter was in second grade and she was struggling with the new math, the Common Core, and at the time she was having such a hard time to work on her multiplications and understanding the concept of additions and so one day I came home and I saw my husband actually having a stack of flashcards, and they were working on the multiplication facts for an hour, and all I'm hearing is my husband screaming and my daughter's crying. So at that moment, I was like, why are you guys doing this? So I took my daughter to another room and we were playing games. And then an hour later, my husband tested her and she was able to answer everything, right?
Wow.
So from that point on, I start working with my daughter. I mean, I always tutor since I was in middle school all the way up to college. So I was always a tutor. And even when I was working as a professional engineer, I just love teaching. So on the side, I always accept students and working with them. So I've been tutoring, teaching for like about 35 years. So after she went back to school, her teacher asked her, how come you went from struggling to doing so awesome within a month? So she said, oh, my mom played games with me. So, so I was invited to take her class for a math class. So when I show up at her school, I took the whole entire class to the gym. And the teacher was very confused, saying, why are we going to the gym? I'm like, yeah, we're going to have a math class at the gym. So by the end of the class, the whole class yelled out, said, this is the best math class ever. That's the whole idea was born. And so at that moment, I realized that how much I really enjoy teaching more than being an engineer. So I start testing my system on Food and Recreation Center, and after that, I see how my program really transforms so many kids who actually hate math, have anxieties, to becoming doing so awesome. And I told my husband, I think I found my calling. And my calling is to help kids to fall in love with math using my magical way. So everyone think I was crazy because I was still in my 30s and like giving up an engineering job to go do something that's going to make a fraction of the money. But I think now my husband really thinks that I did the right thing because he see how much happier I am, and
Yeah.
he love to see all the thank you notes and everything that I get saying how I have helped like hundreds of kids throughout all these years to having all the struggles to becoming so confident, and during all these years I have discovered most of the problem kids are struggling in math, it's not that they cannot understand math, they can't learn math. It really has to do with the confidence, the anxieties, the focus, the comprehension skills, and the foundations. And that is the key, the foundations. If you think about our school systems, kids just keep on getting pushed up no matter they can do it or not. So it's I always use the story about if you are building a high rise and you know there's a crack there, but you just continue to build on it, eventually that building's going to fall. But instead, if we identify where the cracks are and we go fix the cracks and then continue to build on it, we are going to have a very solid standing building. And that is the logic that I believe is why my program works so well, and why we shouldn't just focus on why our kids cannot do math. It's why our kids not um, having anxiety attack. Why is our kids has such a low self-esteem, confidence? Those are all the key area why our kids are not excelling at school. So it's not that they're not capable of learning. Every kid can become a superstar. We just need to guide them. We need to go backward and identify all the root cause. And I can tell you 95% of the time, our confidence and anxiety are the major thing and the foundation. And so I come up with the system where we identify all the root cause before we place the students where they should start at, instead of just focusing, oh yes, let's work on what they're working on at school, because that's what a tutoring center does. So I always tell people we are not a tutoring center, we are a enrichment center. We are here to help to enrich your child. We're not here to teach them how to do homework, because they should be able to handle homework on their own if we go back and fix the cracks.
Well,
So
how do you do that? How do you determine what they need in order to enrich them to be able to do the math?
So I came up with a series of games. So my program is very game based. So utilizing the game to assess them allow me to see how bad the anxieties are and their confidence level. And one of the key game is called 2 minute challenge. And this is a game that I strongly believe everybody should play, because when you are playing that game, including adult, you can actually see yourself. Do you have anxieties when you play that game? And we actually have that game listed as one of our challenge, no matter what age you're at. We saw so many adults having anxiety attack during the game, and then we say, this is why you are having certain issues, because you have hidden anxiety that you are not even aware of. And that game, even though it's only 2 minutes long, we kids with severe anxiety where parents doesn't even know their kids have anxiety, they literally see the kids just break down and cry out without, and we say, do you see now why your child is struggling? Because your child has a very hidden severe anxiety that you don't see it as a parent, because we don't see our kids when they're in school. So we don't see all the emotional changes, that's happening at school, and what is keeping them like shy about asking questions. Why are they, not understanding some fundamental concept? Because when you get nervous, your mind goes blank, right? You can't even
Yeah.
do 1 plus 1. And so that's what happened when the kids get so nervous, the mind go blank and they just automatically collapse. So it's kind of like when my husband doing the fresh card with my daughter, she couldn't get one single question right and remember them, even though he's worked with her for a whole hour. But when I pull her away and she comes back, all of a sudden she knows everything. It's about how do you teach a child to cope with their anxiety, and how do you teach them to, become more confident to themselves. And that is the key.
You make a lot of sense there. I didn't understand, or at least I didn't think that math, like learning math, had to do with a child's emotions, such as the confidence and anxiety that they may be experiencing in school. And it is true what you say. A lot of parents, even teachers, don't really know or see if the child is feeling those emotions. And so if that's getting if so what you're saying is getting to the root involves getting to the emotions, because once you understand what they're feeling, with this
Yes.
game, you're able to then help them enrich themselves with this learning ability. And a lot of times they might actually know it. They're just this anxiety that they get, this nervousness is holding them back.
Correct.
That's what you're saying, right?
Correct. That's the reason why parents don't understand why they see results normally even after the first or second session. They say, "What did you do?" I say, "All I did is I have the magic key. I just put it in there and unlocked it." Because when you know what is causing all those problems, you go back and fixing it, your kids automatically become a very confident learner. And that is what's holding majority of the kids back. And so even though my company is called Math Accelerator, but we do so much of the therapy work in it per se, because that is really the key to unlock the learning potential. And of course, I also built my own math system, like how kids can really master math, use applying logic. Because the funny story, how do I come with all this method, right? It's my own childhood story. So when I was young, every year teacher parents conference, they tell my mom I'm the laziest student at school because I sneak through every single class. But they don't understand how can she be so lazy, but she get number one in math every year if she sneaks through every single class. So my mom one day just asked me, "So how do you do it?" And I said that was the key because I slept through it. So I didn't get brainwashed by the traditional method. I can just apply common sense and logic because that's what math is all about. It's not all about memorizations. I say when I slept through the whole class, I didn't get brainwashed. Math is just a common sense to me. And so she kind of paused for a little bit and then she said, "That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You are right. It's just logic." And it's like, why do we have to memorize all this stuff at school? I'm like, exactly. So that's why I think math very differently than most people. And me as a female going through engineering school, and it wasn't really a struggle for me, even though there's only, I think my class only have 3 girls,
Wow.
all guys, and I actually helped a lot of the guys in the engineering. But that's the thing. I was like, and they said, "We don't understand. You barely take notes, you barely study, you work so much, but you ace the classes so easily." I said, "Because you all study wrong. Everyone relying on memorization. Mathematics is not about memorization. Mathematics is about logic and concept.
Wow.
If you understand the logic behind mathematics, you know how to break down very complicated questions to very simple concepts. So you'll be able to break things down and solving them. And so that's the message I want, I teach my student. How do you break down something that looks so complicated and make it into something that's so easy? So so if my younger daughter, like she was learning algebra 2 concepts in 8 years old. So school wanted to push her from second grade to sixth grade and was like, no, because social development is as important as academic. But I'm just saying that no matter what grade you're in, how old you are, you can actually learn very advanced topic if you understand the logic behind it. So instead of just say, oh, first grade learn 1 plus 1, second grade go learn 10 plus 10, right?
Yeah.
No, even first grader can do
Wow.
can get billions and trillions because if you understand the concept of addition, they know it doesn't matter how big of a problem it is, they can solve it because it's the same logic, same concept.
So, you said something really powerful before, very, very powerful. And you said that when you were in engineering school, they would ask you, like, how did you do it? And you say you're studying wrong, and math isn't memorization, it's learning the logic, like logic behind it, the concepts behind it. How do, as parents, say we never met you, right? Say I never knew
Mhm.
you. What, like, how do I learn or teach my child how to understand the logic and the concept of math without the memorization? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the reason why I'm trying to expand my message. So I'm extending my program to adding a online program, and also I'm trying to start creating a partnership to so I can expand my program and my missions to more states and more locations. And one of the thing I do have a book, but the book doesn't really give you all the detail, but it lists some of the concept and also a lot of games. How you can utilize games to help them to apply those logics and apply techniques to improve their, for example, mental math. If you think about a lot of kids, even they are might be in fourth or fifth grade, still finger counters, and I know a lot of adults still count fingers, right?
Yeah.
So this very easy way. I mean, people always so amazed. I can cut almost any kids from finger counting within 1 hour.
Wow. That's a
Yes.
bold statement. Wow. So, okay, let me ask you this question then. You're talking about expanding your program and that you're going to have an online program as well. How is that going? So, how, like, let's just say in my school, I'm in New Jersey, I'm in Bergen County. If I wanted to get you to come here to do it with the school, what would I have to do that?
So the best way is if we talk to the teacher. I actually so one of the thing I do public speakings, and also I used to go to school and do demos. So I would bring a whole class to the gym or in the classroom, and we're actually going to do a math class in the classroom. So they actually get to see how much fun and how powerful it gets. So another thing that I forgot to mention is I am trying to push my program into the school
Okay.
to help. We call the enhancement program, where to help teacher to learn how to utilize my system to enhance the learning. So they don't have to change the curriculum because our program is coming in to help to enhance the learning experience for the teacher and students. And then we will have like a support system outside for teacher and students as well. So if they like it, they can continue to license us to do the partnership. I think that would be a lot more powerful because if we train the teacher, I mean, they will become the armies to help our
Yeah.
students. Because even though I majority of my students are young kids, but I do have teacher as my students. I have teacher students in college that are my students as well, and those are the students that I do an exception. Like I normally don't accept anyone that's past high school, but I make exceptions for them because I want them to become better teachers.
Yeah. Have you thought about
So
doing like an online workshop like virtually so that teachers from around the country could join this workshop? Obviously
yes,
you'd have to, have them learn and do the stuff, but that would be an easier way to get the teachers on board with what you're bringing to the table and helping them bring this to the children so that we raise children in a new age of math because that's really what you're doing is you're creating a new age of math where it's easier to understand.
yes. I mean, that is something that I'm working with a company in California right now. Um, so the idea is we might be able to tap into a grant,
Hmm.
and we can offer some of this program for free to to the community and also to some of the schools because it's very hard. I know everyone always having budget cut, right?
Yeah.
The school. I mean, our schools have like a $4 or $5 million budget cut this year. With that said, this will really help us to improve the proficiency of math in all schools. Because if we look at the proficiency is dropping, we had for 12th graders now the proficiency for mathematics is only 26%.
Wow. That's
So
low.
it's very alarming. I mean, how are you going to send all these kids to college when they cannot even do basic math?
Yeah,
And
no, I agree. That's a
and that's
really low number. I didn't know it was that low. That's insane. I mean,
yes,
essentially, we're putting out a lot of high school students who are not going to be able to function mathematically in this world that, believe it or
yes,
not, has a lot of math in it, even for money.
yes. Well, I think one of the problem we see is that at least I see is they start introducing calculator too early these
Uh,
days. So that's one of the thing I kind of wish school kind of reconsider that part, not introducing calculators so early because I have seen kids rely on calculators so much. Even high schoolers, some very smart kids, they can't even process 8 times 8. And
what would be your age suggestion to not introduce the calculator?
I believe calculators should not be introduced until they hit geometry.
Which is usually
So
what I'm sorry, I don't know
10th
anything about
grade.
math. So what level would you say that? I think I did it in high
So
school.
so normally that's like about 9th, 10th grade. So depending on the students, like advanced student would take like in ninth grade, but average, average classrooms on geometry is considered 10th grade math. So it's really you want them to apply more of the brain than trying to learn how to punch in the number on the calculator. So that's how my program works too. Like I ban calculators, just because I want them to understand the concept. The only time we use calculators, sometimes we just need something really quick, just to talk about proving that why this answer is correct, and so I don't have to do the whole long say, see what we just did is the answer correct, and just prove it to them, on the calculator. But overall, we really don't use calculator here. I say because we need to train the brain.
Yeah.
And that is another reason why the engineering field dropout rate is so high be- because of that. And I also discovered past couple of years that I had a student that was studying, he was in trade school, and then he was going through the apprenticeship for to becoming an electrician. So if you look at the statistic, only 16% of the people who go to trade school pass the exam, the
Wow,
licensing exam.
that is
And
low.
yes, and then I talked to my student. I say, and he said, "Oh, not only most people fail because without that license, they only making minimum wage.
Oof.
So that's why a lot of them end up dropping out of the field. That's why we paying couple $100 an hour for the, for electricians, for plumbers because they can't get the license.
Yeah.
And when I was working with that students, and he can barely at the beginning, he can barely add two numbers with his fingers.
Oof.
And he said everybody that works in the field are like that. They cannot add basic, like even two-digit numbers. So we went from that level within 3 months, he was able to get up to algebra level. And the license test is really just algebra concepts. At the time he was 19 years old, and he's like, I didn't know I'm so good in math. I was stuck in school and go into engineering. He said that was always his wish to become an engineer, but he thought that he was too dumb for math.
Oh.
And right. And it was very sad to hear that because I hear that all the time from students when they first enrolled to the program. They say, "Oh, I'm too dumb." I'm like,
Oh.
"No, you're not. You just don't realize how smart you are,"
Wow.
and that's part of the confidence issue, right?
Yeah.
So you already believe yourself not being smart. You already gave up,
That's true.
so we need to know you're not dumb, you're very smart. And how can I prove it to them that they are smart? It's by rebuilding their foundation. When you rebuild their foundation, they realize that they are more than capable of doing what they thought they cannot do. And it's a very quick process to really move them up that way once the confidence builds up.
I love what you do. I love that you combined math with building these foundational emotions, like confidence and anxiety and helping them get through these stresses because it helps immensely in math, it sounds like. And but it also is going to help them in future in life, being able to understand their own emotions. I love what you're doing with that. So I'm going to ask you this question because it's super important for parents who are listening who may not have access to your math program. What is one thing they can do at home that will help their children understand math in the way that you're describing?
The best way is really go back. So I'll do an example. If your child's still counting fingers or counting in the head, What you want to do is you want to start playing this game, teach them the grouping of 10. And then also doing, there are some speeding games. I don't know anyone heard of, I still, till this day, I still don't know why my daughter says it's called James Bond, the game. So it's actually, but you can play any card game that requires speed, because the speed, any type of speed games, it actually helps them to intensify their focus and also help the brain to actually start processing better and also increase the memory skills. So with that, you will actually automatically start seeing them comprehend things better, and math will become a little easier for them too.
That's a really interesting idea, and I like that game. I gotta try it with my own daughters because they like math, but they're not
Mhm.
confident in it. So I'll
Right.
say that. So now for everyone who wants to get in touch with you, right, and everyone who wants to learn more about your program, even the teachers who want to reach out to you, how do we find your program? How do we reach out to you? How do we even, maybe you have an online assessment for kids? Like what? How do we do all that?
So I do have a website. It's called mathaccelerator.com. So going in there, it actually has a form, a contact form. So you can contact me through that way, and you can actually put a little description for the reason why you're reaching out to me and where you are. Because this year, my goal is really to start expanding the reach of my program, to really try to, because I tested a online program for past couple years, and the parents really like it and they saw the results. I was like, now it is time to go expand that and help more people, and also looking for people who has the same mission in life and people who really passionate about helping kids to start powering and growing the program. So
Wow. I mean,
yeah, I mean, especially I really want to get into the school just because I think that would make the biggest impact to show them how we can enhance the learning for not only the kids, also for the teachers, because teachers are the reason where our kids are, right?
yeah.
So fixing the teacher, we are well, I shouldn't say fixing. By helping the teachers, we are actually helping our students as well. So that is my goal. To I want to push into the school to start helping teacher to make education more fun and also easier to understand for students.
I love that, kid. I really do because I feel like in today's age, math is sort of left out of the equation sometimes, especially in children, especially at home. It's a very difficult subject for parents to teach their children math at home when a lot of us don't really know math the way that, say, you do or someone else who understands it in a better way. So I love everything that you're doing, and I can't wait to check out mathaccelerator.com. So maybe I can get my kids on it and they'll feel confident in math, and then maybe I can learn some and I can feel confident in teaching them the math. So
No, definitely. I have parents ask me that, can you offer a parents adult class? And that is a great, idea that if they thought about it. The only time is that like parents are always so busy. It's very
yeah,
hard to like to find a time. But at the same time, that's the reason why I'm like looking for people that have the same mission and passion,
yeah.
that it can become part of the business and part of the program, where they can be going out helping more people as well, you know?
Teachers would be a great, you know, partner for you and your program, because not only are they already teachers and they already have to
Mhm.
teach math, but if they learn how to do this, they're going to feel more confident in teaching it, and that's going to really help the kids moving forward. So I think everything that you're doing is not only wonderful, obviously, because this spawned from you and your daughter doing this together and teaching her math, but it's also unique because almost I've met a lot of people in the last 4 years, and no one brings up math. Like no one. I can't tell you how many hundreds of people I've met who have programs or learning or websites or things where they want to help parents and families, and you're literally the only one I've met that's talking about math with such passion and ease. I love that. I love that. So
Uh,
I'm going to say this. If any parents are out there who want to get to know more about what Kit does and her program, it's mathaccelerator.com. If you're a teacher who's listening or tuning in for the first time and you love math and you want to help your kids enrich their math learning abilities, reach out to Kim, go on her website, contact her, and make sure you let her know what it is you're looking for. And maybe she can come to a school near you and she could bring that program to you. Kit, I love, absolutely love speaking with you about math. It's always fun to meet someone who loves math. I'm not a big lover of math, but it's probably got a lot to do with what you said, like confidence and anxiety. Um, so I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest on my show, for teaching me that games have a place in learning math and bringing that confidence and anxiety to a higher and lower level for both of those. I think that's wonderful. And I cannot wait to see what you're up to next.
Thank you so much, Kim, for inviting me. And yes, I'm very excited this year that I'm finally moving forward to let's grow my program so it can benefit more kids and everybody. Because I really believe that math should not be the most difficult subject. Math should be the easiest subject. We just have to show people how to learn math in a different way and more fun and more exciting, and it will completely change the picture of about math, how we perceive math,
You're
you
right.
know
You are totally right about that. And I cannot wait. I feel like you are going to be on the national level much sooner than you realize because it's a huge deal to make math easy for young kids so that when they get older, they are able to enter the professional world and do what it is they love to do with such ease. And if math is a part of that, that's going to be a big deal. That's just going to help us on the global scale too, to be able to
yeah,
compete globally. So I
yeah.
love everything. I love it all. So you know what? Maybe we should do another segment and maybe bring about a few more, tips for parents on what they could do at home. Or maybe in time you'll have that parenting program up and running and we could talk about that. So this way
Yeah.
parents can also join in on and try to spread your message too, because I feel like if parents knew how easy it was with your program, they'd be more inclined to spread your word and to make sure that the program's picked up in schools.
No, definitely. I mean, I always go over things with the parents and show them here are the games that you can play at home and help to exercise the techniques that they learn in class. So we can, do for example, like I said, the mental math, which is one that parents always struggle with. And I can show you how your child can go from finger counting to doing mental math within an hour. And anybody can do it at home.
That's crazy. Maybe you can help my husband.
He still counts the years. Yeah.
Oh God, Kit,
And they will make
you're a
complete
blast to
sense.
talk to. You really are because your passion comes through, and I don't really get to talk about math or science with anybody in my household. It's always by myself. So I
So
love.
maybe you should be in this business too if you are so passionate about math, because it's really, it's about what is inside you and how you see things and how you want to deliver it, right?
Yeah.
That is the most important. And if we have the mission, we want our next generation to be better, we all should stand up and just do our part, and we will see the results.
I have this idea for you. I don't know if you thought about it yourself. I'm sure you have because you're very smart. What if you took your program and created a homeschool program as well? Because I know a lot of moms who are in the homeschooling community, they struggle with finding the curriculum that works for their child for homeschooling. And I know a lot of parents who homeschool. That would be a unique thing also and a totally new market that you could bring your math program to.
Oh, that would be great because that is on the plan. I'm going to share with you my booklet. So homeschooling curriculum is one, but the one thing I'm trying to figure out, because I did have number of homeschooler that came through my program, and so it really is kind of true to my heart too, like how we can help the homeschooler, and that community is growing. The only thing that I've been trying to figure out is how can I make my program be a certified program,
Yeah.
right? So that's the piece that I'm missing. Because if it become a certified program, I think parents are more inclined that, oh, let's just put my kids into that program because then they
Yeah.
get credit for it. Because even though they're doing awesome, but then they still have to go do additional work somewhere else to get the credit.
Yeah,
But if
that's
mine
true.
is certified, then one program will take care of all the learning for them.
You'd be surprised though, because some homeschool parents, I don't think being certified is on their list of must-haves. It's more that, is this
Hmm.
program A, affordable, and B, how easy it for me to apply it with my children?
Hmm.
How easy is it for me to teach
Yeah.
them? So
Yeah.
in the homeschool realm, at least, I'm pretty
Mhm.
positive that your program will be a huge hit. And there are a lot of Facebook communities and groups that you can reach out to maybe showcase that and have them maybe do like a showing or something where you're doing this online class for them where they can learn how to do it themselves, to teach your
Mhm.
kids at home. But I'm pretty sure that, I know you need to be certified to be, considered legitimate in the public school system or the private school system. That I know. But in
Mhm.
homeschooling world, it's a very different vibe where parents just want to be able to give their kids the best abilities in learning in a home-based area that's
Right.
easier and affordable.
Because I know because I have different age group homeschooler that came to me. I know for high schoolers, those all they need is just pass the test.
Yeah.
So for those students, it was very easy because I teach the materials and they go past the test. But for the younger kids, because I have friends that the kids go through, that were younger, so they said they have to go through like lessons plan and all other stuff
That
with the certified program. So that's the part that
that,
that
that you need to
I'm
do.
I'm not sure of where um if doing just my program, how can they still get credit for it, right?
Yeah, that's
So.
a good point. I think every state is different. I'm not sure about New Jersey. I think one of my friends said that, I'm not, and don't quote me on this because I'm not a legal person in New Jersey, but I think she said that in New Jersey, all you need to do is let your school know that you're going to homeschool, and they
Mhm.
could potentially ask you for documentation of what you're teaching, but it's not mandatory here, from my
Mhm.
understanding. I think that's what she said. But I don't know what it's like saying like California or New York. So
Mhm.
that's something
Yeah.
interesting that you would have to probably, find out in the different states. But honestly, I see your math program being a huge hit. I really do, and I think it could even be a huge hit internationally. So I'm looking forward to see where you go with it.
Thank you. Yes, I hope so too, because I really want, people to see the new math and how they can have fun. And I usually joke with my kids. I say maybe one day, mommy gonna win the Nobel Prize of
I
mathematics.
wouldn't I wouldn't doubt it. What you're doing is huge. It's a huge step in education for children, and it not only brings these children to a new level of understanding of math, it also empowers them when they become adults to enter these math fields that have, for the most part, for at least in America, is much harder to get into because we're not learning it the way we need to learn it. We're not understanding it the way we need to understand it. So on a global scale, I say that what you're doing is going to help us be much more competitive in the future and for future generations. So I definitely see it going somewhere. And I'm very hopeful because math is a big part of being able to compete in this new race of AI, engineering, all those areas that we don't seem to be on par with, like in places like, for example, like South Korea or China.
Mhm.
Their engineering infrastructure is amazing, and math is a big part of that.
Yes. No, totally.
Yeah,
I think it really that definitely will help to bring us up. And I hope that, school will start seeing the more and more benefit of opening up to allow the new idea coming in, to even give a chance to try it, right?
yeah,
To see the results. Because if they look at the history of all my students, how they perform in the districts, I mean, most of my students are the top performers in the districts,
yeah.
and they have been with me for years. Not that they really need me anymore, but parents said my kids just have to come to you 1 hour a week, and it's not only
Wow.
guaranteed straight A's. Like, so why would I want to take them away from your program? So
Yeah, no, you're right. Honestly, parents, especially trying to get their kids, through the SATs and trying to get them into competitive high schools and even into amazing Ivy League schools, math is a big one. And if you're not doing well on those testing because you're anxious or you're nervous or you feel like you're dumb, you're not gonna do well, and you're not gonna be able to get into those or become a top student, even though you're smart. I know I struggled with that in high school. I was a very
mhm,
intelligent student, um, who only, I excelled when I wanted to.
mhm.
But
Yes.
um,
Mhm,
I'll say this: I remember my senior year of high school. I had failed like U.S. history one as a junior, and I had to take it over in my senior year. And it wasn't because I was dumb; it was because I didn't do any of the work at all and skipped most
mhm,
of it. But then I also found out I didn't have enough like credits to graduate, and so they stuck me in a trigonometry class. And I had always hated math for the reasons you talk about, like the confidence and the
right.
anxiety. But because I knew I needed to graduate, I needed to sit down. I sat with my teacher almost every day after school, and she helped me get through it. And I aced the class and was able to graduate. And so,
Mhm,
what you're telling me and what you're teaching me about this math program is important because I know that anyone, literally anyone, if I could, anyone could pass math and excel at it and be successful in it. And so to have someone who does that and helps a
mhm,
person get through their anxieties is very lucrative for a future in
mhm,
those areas. So, like you said, engineering, anything with
mhm.
maths, a lot of science, even computer and data analysis, that all requires some type of math.
Even business,
Yeah.
because you still have to take math classes. And you just brought up about SAT,
Yeah.
testing. So I do a lot. I take in a lot of students for SAT preparations, and oftentimes you can be super smart. Doesn't mean you're good test
That's
takers.
true.
Again, it's oftentimes it's because the confidence, the anxiety again, and the comprehension skills and the focus. Because if you think about you sitting in a classroom taking the test, if you have anxiety, everything around you, any sound, all of a sudden amplifies by 100 times.
Yeah.
Even someone tapping the foot or erasing the problem, you can hear
Yeah, and
everything,
then you lose your
and then
focus.
you start triggering your feelings, and then you start getting stressed, and then everything just kind of goes south from there. So that's another thing why. Even though I work with the students on SAT, we do so much of time management and confident coaching, anxiety coaching, things like that, while we are diving into different topics and how you can see problems. I say, don't focus on trying, for example, trying to solve for X. I say, look at the relationship. If you can see the relationship, the answer pops right up.
Yeah.
There's no calculation required, because oftentimes people spend so much time trying to calculate. And I say you can turn a 3 to 5 minute problem into a 20-second problem.
Wow.
And that's the key. You learn how to time, because mathematics is logic, so there is always relationships. So you just look for the relationships, and that's all you need to do in most of the problems.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you are able to make math understandable to a level that anybody can understand. The fact that you just said math is relationships, it's finding the relationships between the
Yes.
numbers, right? I love that because it just makes sense. And like you said earlier, it becomes common sense, and
Yeah.
it's so much easier to understand. So
Correct.
a Kit, I don't want to end the show because I love talking about this with you, but unfortunately, I have to end the show. Now, if there's like one extra tip you can give a parent
Mhm.
to help their child, get through any kind of math, what is it going to be?
Definitely build the confidence. Teach, don't tell them that, oh, why you failing? Oh, you only got a 70, you only got a 90. Tell them that they did a great job, because that really changed, because grade is just a number. It should not dictate the performance, because oftentimes we have a very high expectation for kids, and it really built that expectation also cause a lot of anxiety for kids. So by doing so, you will help them. Like we did something similar like that for my younger daughter, because my younger daughter is completely opposite as my oldest daughter. My younger daughter is a perfectionist. Like when she was young, if it's under 100, it's a failing grade to her. So we want, oh, she would break down and cry, and then we let her know. So one day she came home with a 95. It was the end of the world for her. And I said, oh, let's have parties. And so the following year, when she got her second non perfect grade home, instead of coming home crying, she actually was waving her test saying, Mommy, we're having party tonight. It was yeah, she said, I got a 98. So we're going to have parties, right? So we did. We had a party that night.
That's a
Because
great
we want
thing.
them to understand, I say 90 is a A, 100 is a A, right? You need to make sure that they don't get overstressed just by the number. The grade is not everything because, I mean, no one's perfect. No one's going to always getting 100. We need the kids to understand that it's okay. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Not getting a every time is not going to kill you, and as long as you try your best, and that's what we deliver to our kids. Like, I mean, my oldest one, because she has anxieties, and we want her to know, we know you try. Even if you come home with a C on your test, it's okay because we know you try, and you can always make it up later. And then she's very determined. She's like, oh, at least my parents not upset at me because they understand I try. And it really helped them not to develop the anxiety. So we need to be positive for our kids and instead of setting such a high standard for our kids. So
I love that.
that's one of
I love
the
that you
important.
want to build their confidence, and that's a great tip that all parents can really do and use at home. So, Kit, with that, I want to say thank you so much for being a guest on my show, for teaching me that emotions play such a huge role in a child learning math and understanding it. And I can't wait to see what you do next. And